The most effective counter to psychological manipulation isn't better facts. It's forcing the system to contradict itself in public. Let me explain, because once you see this, you can't unsee it. Have you ever noticed this? When someone controls the narrative, facts bounce off. Logic goes nowhere. Debate feels fake. You're not crazy. You're inside a closed persuasion system. I went down a rabbit hole comparing two things that aren't usually put together. 1. Modern psychological manipulation techniques. 2. Old-school community organizing tactics from Rules for Radicals by Saul Alinsky. What I found surprised me. Most manipulation frameworks work in tech layers. First they shape reality, then hijack emotion, then corrupt logic, then enforce tribal loyalty. Finally, they condition compliance. By the end, resistance feels irrational. That's the cage. Here's the key insight. Alinsky doesn't try to escape the cage. He overloads it until it breaks, not with truth sermons, with pressure, friction, and contradiction. Let's start at the top. 1. When reality itself is being shaped, agenda setting, framing, vagueness, big lies. Most people respond by arguing inside the frame. That's the trap. Alinsky's move? Make the system live up to its own rules. If it claims fairness, demand consistency. If it claims transparency, force disclosure. If it claims compassion, spotlight contradictions. No counter-narrative needed, just internal collapse. And then it gets more uncomfortable. 2. When emotion is hijacked, fear, belonging, charisma, manufactured moral euphoria. You can't fact-check a cult, but you can puncture it. That's why Alinsky used ridicule, not insults, not rage, mockery. Why? Because awe and fear cannot survive being laughed at. Once the spell breaks, it doesn't come back. Now here's where people misunderstand him. 3. When logic is being jammed, fire hoses of falsehood. Information overload, gish gallops. The instinct is to refute everything. That's a losing game. Alinsky does the opposite. He says, pick one target, one contradiction, one pressure point, then don't let go. This restores clarity for observers, even if the opponent keeps talking. Next comes the uncomfortable part. 4. When tribal enforcement kicks in, labeling, smears, whataboutism, flack. The system pretends it's neutral while punishing dissent. So Alinsky forces polarization. Why? Because polarization exposes who enforces the rules and who is protected by them. Diffuse morality hides power. Clear lines reveal it. Finally, the deepest layer. 5. When compliance is engineered, gaslighting, demoralization, inevitable victory narratives, conditioning. This is where people stop trusting their own perception. Alinsky's antidote isn't hope. It's small wins. Tiny, visible, undeniable cause and effect moments. They restore agency, predictability, reality testing, and that breaks learned helplessness. Here's the pattern tying all this together. Modern manipulation depends on coherence, everything reinforcing everything else. Alinsky's tactics introduce incoherence, contradictions, friction, visibility, cost. Control systems hate all four. Important pause here. These methods are powerful. They can liberate or destabilize. They don't answer the moral question, should this system be resisted? They only answer the tactical one. How does resistance become possible again? So what can you do with this? Here's a simple mental shift. Stop asking, how do I prove this is wrong? Start asking, what rules does this system claim and where does it violate them? That question changes everything. From now on, watch for this pattern. When persuasion stops working on you, but pressure keeps increasing. You're no longer in a debate, you're in a containment system. And containment systems don't fail from truth. They fail from exposure and cost. This isn't just about politics. It's about workplaces, online mobs, institutions, even personal dynamics. Anywhere power hides behind narratives. The final thought. Freedom doesn't begin when people agree with you. It begins when a system can no longer pretend it's consistent. Once that illusion cracks, everything else follows.